What is going on, my wonderful humans? It's Dr. Wookiee. We got a legal update today with the two founders. I'm going to go through just the kind of key points that I thought were new or interesting because, these hundreds of pages of documents are kind of boring. A lot of it's regurgitated stuff. And click that link above if you want to hear about more of that case that I had already gone through. As always, I am not a legal expert at all, just trying to do the community a favor, combing through this stuff, kind of giving you a little bit of update what's going on. As always, legal stuff takes a long time to progress. So let's go ahead and jump into the latest updates here. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to go ahead and subscribe, especially if this is like your second time back. I mean, what are you doing? Go ahead and subscribe. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. All right, everyone. This very first document here was essentially Eric Schirmeyer's lawyers basically responding to like a bunch of the allegations and saying why a lot of them should be dismissed or whatnot. The interesting part here that I found was essentially, to file a derivative claim. And once again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know exactly what this means and stuff, but to file a derivative claim, there has to be damage to the company. And so the reason that's interesting is because, True North has conceded that it has not alleged that the burned Gala belonged to the company, right? They said that was True North's rights Gala. And that should end the matter, but instead True North asks the court to consider plaintiff's allegations that the burned Gala belonged to the company, which of course is confusing, right? Because it can't be one and the same. If defendants intend to concede that the burned Gala belonged to the company, then they must again amend their counterclaims and their answer, which repeatedly denies as much. Until then, assuming the truth of the allegations and the amended counterclaims as they stand, True North does not claim that $600 million in burned assets belong to the company, and thus the core damage claim underlying their derivative claim must be disregarded. So what they're saying is they're kind of stuck in like a rock and a hard spot, right? Because if Wright says that was his Gala, okay, then there was no damage to the company by burning it, right? Because that was damage to Wright. If it was the company's Gala, then Wright would be admitting that he stole it, right? I mean, that's how I took this. So it's kind of interesting aspect there, paragraph. The exhibits were the most interesting part. So this letter email was June 9th, 2023. So this was before the lawsuit. This is Eric Schirmeyer's lawyers sending this message to Wright Thurston and of course his legal team. And of course, in here, they basically break down what they are, upset about and what he's done and their demands and all that fun stuff. What I found interesting, because I never heard this, is that apparently this is what they say in here, right? Allege Mr. Thurston bound the company to purchase that private jet for $65 million from Gulfstream, which we always heard that this was Eric doing it. So interesting. Mr. Thurston never secured the approval of the board of directors of the company president for that expenditure. This jet was purchased through Benefactor Leasing 2 LLC, a Delaware LLC in which the sole member is the company. This LLC was formed by Brent Hawkins, who apparently is Mr. Thurston's personal attorney, who signed that LLC agreement as manager of the LLC and also on behalf of the company Gala Games, falsely representing that he was an executive vice president of the company Gala, when in fact he never held any position within the company whatsoever. So that's interesting. I don't, remember hearing about that. They said in May 15th letter, Mr. Thurston challenged the payment of $7 million to the Gulfstream to continue paying for a new aircraft. So basically, they're saying Mr. Thurston admitted that he committed the company to purchase that aircraft. And Mr. Thurston apparently paid the initial $5 million in company funds towards that aircraft. When that next $7 million payment was due under the terms of the contract, Mr. Thurston, who had wrongfully negotiated with Gulfstream, Mr. Schirmeyer simply directed that the funds be paid, lest the company lose the value of the deposit that Mr. Thurston had already paid. So I guess he was in a spot of I don't know, another weird kind of spot of well, do I just lose the $5 million or continue paying for it? I don't know. It's hard. Mr. Hawkins' designation of himself as the manager of that LLC has caused significant problems for the company. The company has sought to renegotiate certain terms of the agreement to purchase this jet with Gulfstream. However, because of the way that Mr. Thurston and Mr. Hawkins structured this unauthorized deal, nothing can be finalized regarding this asset without Mr. Hawkins' approval, because of course he's the one who signed. Mr. Hawkins, who again had no office whatsoever within the company, he's refused to authorize any revisions to the agreement, leading Gulfstream threatened to sue. So I just thought that was interesting part about the airplane and stuff. See what comes out. Another aspect I thought was interesting here was that January 2023, they discussed the vision paper. Mr. Thurston had always had access to it, of course, reviewed it. Mr. Thurston was complimentary of the work that Mr. Schirmeyer had done to advance the company and raised no concerns whatsoever about the management of the company or the items in the 2023 vision paper in January. As set forth in that vision paper, the company planned to upgrade from Gala V1 tokens to Gala V2. Of course, I'm sure Wright Thurston didn't know yet what their kind of plan was. The 2023 vision paper set forth the rationale for implementing it. The Gala V2 implementation was also discussed in company Slack channel that included Mr. Thurston. Mr. Thurston attended an April meeting of the company's board of directors and raised no concerns about the long-planned Gala V2 implementation. Well, he didn't know he was going to lose all his Gala. As promised, on April 18th, 2023, Gala V2 airdrop was publicly announced. And then I'm sure that's when he got upset about what happened to his stuff. Let's see. Is this interesting? Only in the days immediately preceding the implementation. Oh, yeah. So right before they dropped the Gala V2, Mr. Thurston's lawyer, Brent Hawkins, began belatedly questioning the operational decision. He raised no legitimate concerns that the implementation would harm the company, and in fact, no such arguments, of course, could be raised. But he maybe started to kind of smell out that he was going to lose a lot of his Gala. So after that was sent, a reply was sent back. Let's see, May 19th. Am I off here a little bit? Maybe this one was first. Oh yeah, so this one was before that one. So May 19th, this is Wright Thurston's lawyers. I'm sure this was submitted to them because of course he lost all his Gala, so had to figure out what he could do about it. I find this letter super interesting. We're gonna have to just read through it, and that's just because I find some aspects kind of funny. So anyways, True North has learned that you have recently taken actions without proper approval by the BGP board of directors that have detrimentally impacted the value of BGP together with its platform and its community. Your actions further have imperiled BGP's future and success. This reckless, counterproductive, and unauthorized conduct must stop immediately. Of course, nothing is specific here at all. Accordingly, this letter formally demands that you and all other corporate officers under your direction cease and desist from any and all decisions and actions that will or could materially affect the value of BGP without first obtaining written authorization and approval by the board of directors. They don't discuss what they're talking about. Any and all such actions materially affecting and or impairing the value of BGP or its assets must be approved by the board of directors according to the BGP bylaws. Please be on notice that you will be held personally responsible to BGP shareholders for the destruction of value that you have caused without necessary and required board authorization. Your actions and the impact they have had on BGP must be addressed at the earliest possible opportunity in a formal meeting of the BGP board of directors. Ideally, BGP's corporate officers and legal counsel will also be invited to participate in the board meeting. And this board meeting did occur. The reason I just thought this letter was kind of funny is because it doesn't specify anything like what they're talking about, like concern about, damage wise. My assumption is obviously they wrote this because, all the Gala got burned, and I mean, I would have been pissed off too. And so that was their response, at least I'm assuming. So, so then they met, and then, after they met, and obviously apparently they didn't come to an agreement, they went ahead and like sued each other. This was another email, October 3rd, 2023. This is Eric Schirmeyer's lawyer responding to Wright's lawyers. 2 days ago, you asked whether we could agree to consolidate the lawsuit you filed. With that lawsuit was filed, proceed with both cases. I informed you that I would respond this week rather than extend the courtesy of waiting for a response. You filed a motion to consolidate yesterday. He was all upset about that. This letter basically kind of breaks down and says, hey, we looked at your lawsuit and we don't see any like evidence like in a bunch of these claims. And they list out the claims that they, purportedly say there's no evidence for. Even putting aside the tenuous premise of the True North action as a whole, on August 31st, 2023, counsel for Thurston, Eric, including you and I, met in person in Chicago in an attempt to resolve the parties' disagreements before proceeding with litigation. So they did meet August 31st, 2023, apparently, to try to resolve some stuff before, all the lawsuits came down. After that meeting, you filed the True North action that same day. Inexplicably, the True North action contained many of the specific allegations that we discussed and or resolved. I just highlight this because this is Wright Thurston's like private Node wallet, like where his Node earnings were coming from. Because of course we know the blockchain is super important, and so this is his Node wallet. 1,261 days ago. I'm pretty sure that's when the very, very first token was put out. And so you can see he got almost 2 billion Gala on that first, what was that, a pre-minting when they were running nodes or whatever. So that just shows blockchain's there, right? We can see, that he got paid for his node distribution or whatever. And then, of course, he goes through the rest of this saying, hey, this is the first time this has been raised. This is the first time this has been raised, concern-wise, been raised. And in a bunch of these, he's basically saying, can you please, show us, the evidence for your claim? Paragraph 59, this was an interesting part. He was concerned about a sales entity in Dubai and installed himself as the largest shareholder. Eric did. And then apparently there is no such entity at all. So, of course, they said that's a false allegation because there is no Dubai entity, which I think has been confirmed. And then the other thing was the Swiss entity in Switzerland. So Thurston's attorney, Brett Hawkins, was copied on emails from the company's general counsel to the Swiss counsel stating that the cap table is still subject to board approval. And as you know, Swiss counsel had been instructed to dissolve this entity. No company assets have been transferred to the soon to be dissolved entity. So they're dissolving the Switzerland one too. Maybe they were just feeling out some stuff. Not sure. Anyways, yeah, kind of a boring one. Not a huge thing. I would expect, again, this is going to take some time before we, get to the point of actually being able to, see how this is going to progress and like move forward. Legal stuff slow. So I'll just kind of keep updating you as we kind of see things, slowly continue to progress forward. As always, stay warm, Wookiees.